All right, we're here with a man who does need introduction, Mr. Nikko Hurtado. I'm owner of Black Anchor Collective. Nikko, thank you very much. I know you're a busy dude. First question we got is, what were your thoughts about tattooing prior to you getting tattooed? And what was your first tattoo?
My thoughts before tattooing was, it wasn't really any thought because I tried to get into it, but nobody would teach me. My buddy hadn't started tattooing yet. They told me that if I ever wanted to get started tattooing, that if I didn't do it 10 years prior, that I would never be anyone and never do anything with it, like shops that I had talked to that I respected. And, so I pretty much gave up on the idea prior to it. Tattooing, all I knew was really of like prison tattoos and like homemade tattoos when I was younger. My first tattoo was a piece of tribal on my cousin.
Okay, cool. And how did you get into tattooing?
I started tattooing in 2001 and then was like apprentice for a year, started in 2002. My friend Mike DeMossi taught me how to tattoo. He owns Art Junkies Tattoo in Hesperia. He opened the shop with his friends, and so he offered to teach me. And from there, it changed my life, so I'm grateful to him for that.
And what has tattooing taught you?
Tattooing taught me everything, man. Tattooing's made me more worldly, made me less of like, I guess you'd call it an arrogant American. Like I think like as an American, you grow up here and you have a lot of pride for being American, and I'm totally proud of being American. But like I think that when you go to other countries, you really are grateful, but you also realize that people all over the world are just trying to live and just trying to do the best they can. I think everyone's the same around the world. I think that everyone just wants to be happy and pretty much just love and live life. I think most people don't really have like a lot of bad hate in their soul. I think most people just want to go about their day. Yeah. So I've been really grateful with that. Tattooing's just changed my life. I've been really fortunate. It's given me a lot, and so I just want to give back to it as much as I can. I think that it's one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Career-wise and life-wise, other than my kids, it for sure is the greatest thing.
You kind of touched base on the next question. We're talking about tattooers. A lot of tattooers, especially ones who've been in the industry longer like yourself, mention about giving back. What do you think they mean by that?
I think I would just like to see tattooing grow and be legitimate. I think I'd like to see the art world and the general public see tattooing in the right light. I think that it's just as important, and just as profound as, painters. I think that the art on bodies is incredible. I think it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do because you're working on something living. The craziest part about it is that after people stop living and they die, they take it with them. So it's only here for a little bit of time. To see where tattooing has come is pretty incredible. And to think that tattooing is old as drawings on walls is pretty crazy. And for it to be here where it's at and, starting to become the mainstream and be accepted and be more acceptable, I think that it's really interesting. I think it's cool that our generation is becoming the older generation that's really tattooed, and I think with that to come, will come a lot more opportunity and a lot more of this, less of the stigma will go along with it. I think we'll be all taken seriously, and I can't wait to see when, there is the tattooer that really takes it to like, because there will be the tattooer that takes it to the point of like Andy Warhol or something like that and be totally credited, and I think that that's going to happen within our lifetime, and I think that we're going to see some crazy stuff. I think it's cool.
You know what, I was actually talking with a friend of mine and we were talking about it, and we were making correlation or parallels between the art world and the tattoo world, how you just, like now you got these, in the art world there was movements, like the Dadaists got together and became the Surrealists and they pushed certain styles of artwork. That's kind of something that happened here, like when you got together with, like you were speaking with Mike DeVries and Roman, and y'all started pushing that photorealism and stuff, and we were talking like, those guys, even in the Renaissance, we were thinking like maybe tattooing is in the Renaissance period, and then there's those mass.
Well, I think that as far as like for us to say it's only tattooing, it's kind of like thinking in a small world. Mm-hmm. I think that the whole world is changing. I think that in those times there was sculptors and painters. I think right now, my friend Michael Husser, he explains things a lot of ways to where it really makes sense. He's named this time in the art world and tattooing everything. It has to do with car culture, it has to do with graffiti, it has to do with painting and tattooing, that we live in a time that's American Baroque. I think that
There you go.
America has like this thing happening where there's a lot of different cultures and stuff, like the lowrider culture, all that stuff, you know what I mean, have to do with what's the movement, what's different, this juxtaposition of like what is happening now compared to what happened in the Renaissance of those places. I just think we're in a different era. I don't think a lot of people have seen what's happening, but there's like the lowbrow art movement that's a part of it, and we are a part of that, you know what I mean? And that's where it's at. I think that the lowbrow art movement is part of it, and I think that the lowbrow art movement is becoming part of the highbrow art movement, and I think it's kind of all being skewed together. So I think it's all one and the same, and I think that we're just living at a special time of, in the world, and it's like the 70s or the 60s, like the 70s with Andy Warhol, and like into the 80s. And like, then you think about Jackson Pollock, he threw paint on a canvas and he changed things. Then you look at like Van Gogh, and he used so much paint and with the style. So like, I think that there's just a different movement happening right now within the world, and I'm really grateful to just be a part of it. I just want to lend a hand to the part of tattooing in the industry to make sure that it's legitimately, taken seriously within the world and within that, and to know that that has a staple and a part of everything. Because everybody has tattoos,
Yeah.
And the people even making those movements in those different parts of the world, like, like painters or sculptors or car builders, or even like Jesse James building bikes. I mean, that's all part of this culture. I mean, they have tattoos, bands, things like that. I just think it's this bigger thing, the media and everything, TV shows. It's crazy.
Man, that was a great answer. Okay, what do you think are the characteristics of a good tattooer?
I think the characteristics of a good tattooer is somebody that's putting 110% into every single tattoo they do, whether it's small or big. You know what I mean? I think that if you want to do your best, then you need to do your best on everyone. Because it's not only what you show people or what impresses people, it's about the small little tattoos that you do your best on that make you who you are. I think that's all credibility, and that's all about, the power of, people talking about you and word of mouth. That's going to give you a longer career. So I think putting your heart and doing your best, no matter what your ability is what's important, and that's what's going to make a great tattooer and a good tattooer.
Okay. What would you believe is the ideal client?
I think the ideal client is somebody going to get tattooed by you because they trust you. I think that trust is a big issue with tattooing. I think that like some people come in and question it the whole time, and those people are the ones that end up with a less perfect tattoo because it makes you unconfident about your ability. I think that a client should at least research the artist, make sure it's someone they want to be tattooed by, and then trust that artist that they're going to do their best for them. And that's our job, is to do our best. And if it's somebody that's, has the notoriety and like the capabilities, and you go to them and you trust them, let them do what they're supposed to do, they'll give you the best they got and their best, intentions.
Okay. And you mentioned painting. You do artwork outside of tattooing?
I try to do artwork outside of tattooing, but not much.
Yeah.
I love art. I love tattooing as much as I love art. So like, I need a balance of both. And right now I'm in need of painting.
Okay.
Because I've tattooed enough right now. So.
Okay, Nikko. We'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you first off. Any advice you would give the public on how to go about choosing the right tattoo or shop for them?
To choose the right tattooer, never look at price. Look at the ability. Look at their professionalism, and then go from there. Trust your artist. If it's somebody you've researched and you really like your work, know that they're at the point that they know what they're doing, and just trust what they're going to do for you. Try not to, like you would never want someone to go to your job and tell you how to do it. Right. So we don't want people to come in and tell us how to do it, because we obviously know it's our job.
Okay.
To know.
Yeah, Nikko, you've been very kind.
Thanks, man.